Hey there, I'm Tyler Watts. I'm an independent game developer focused on empowering aspiring game developers everywhere. I'm actually just one of many indie devs here at Surprise Studios. We're a group of friends trying to make video games. The past several months we've been working on our first indie title called Hookscrap. It's a 2D top-down space shooter roguelike with an emphasis on fast fluid combat. Using your hacker harpoon, you can scrap enemy ships to upgrade your own. Upgrades which can completely shake up the way you play the game, but can prove useful when going up against the scaling difficulty and ultimately the final boss. With it being our first indie title, we've been learning a lot, and it's been pretty hard. What's helped out a lot though is having a product backlog. In this video, Hookscrap producer and marketer Cam and I will be sharing with you how you can create a product backlog and why it's so important in the first place. Using a product backlog, you can set a hard timeline on your project and also lay out a list of tasks for you and your team to complete. But that's just a taste of what's to come, so make sure you stick around to the end. Let's go. Now, in a previous video, you may recall that a game design document and a product backlog actually go hand in hand. A game design document acts as a guiding vision for your game and clarifies objectives and goals of your project. Goals and objectives you're gonna need in order to put together a product backlog. So if you haven't watched our video on a game design document and why you should make one, go ahead and watch it right now. I'll link it right here at the top. With that out of the way, just what is a product backlog? Well, it's more than just another tool to have in your game developer toolbox. A product backlog is a prioritized list of features needed to create your game. Essentially, it's your game's to-do list. It's comprised of features, major features such as those that contribute to what's called a minimum viable product or MVP, as well as minor features, those that are made to refine and polish an otherwise complete game. By laying these features out, you'll have a clear idea of the things needed for your game and be able to delegate tasks for your team members. But I know Cam has a lot more to say, so Cam, take it away.
Okay, so the product backlog. What it really is, it's a prioritized list of features in a game that is the foundation for the rest of your production documentation. Just to get started, a feature is a mechanic or system within your gameplay experience, no matter how big or small it is. To use some in the context of our game Hookscrap we've been working on, we have the hacker harpoon and wave-based combat. When you write out a feature, you then need to provide details of how the mechanic or system works, or how the player would use it in context of gameplay.
So what exactly would that look like?
As a proper description, it would be something like the following. So, the hacker harpoon allows the player to grab ships and debris. The player can choose to reel in and scrap the object. Scrapping will allow the player to collect scrap, which can be used in crafting, and to use the warp gate. Releasing allows the player to launch objects into enemy ships. In this example, I even use other features that are going to be in the game. So say, for example, crafting is another feature, and the warp gate is another feature. And those will then also be explained within the product backlog to provide context. And these will also be organized by list of priorities. So what needs to be done first to help support the other features that are going to be in the game. The second example of a description for a product backlog feature would be a player story. And this would be a personal account from the first person of the player. So an example of this with the context of the hacker harpoon would be, as the player, I need some scrap to get out of here, but a nearby ship is approaching. I'll grab a nearby asteroid and reel it in. I quickly pivot my ship in the enemy's direction and launch the asteroid at it, causing the ship to explode. I collect the scrap from the destroyed ship and I escape without a scratch.
The fact that you're like giving the player's perspective, that's going to be really cool.
Well, that's something I saw more recently in an article I was reading, and I'm like, yo, that's actually like really good, because then like if you're thinking about it from the perspective of the player, then you'll be thinking of all the things the player needs to do to achieve that. So you can even think like, oh, so all the things I just listed out, I'm gonna need the player controller. Okay, we have to be able to grab objects with the harpoon. We're gonna need enemy AI, because how are the ships gonna be chasing after me? We're also gonna need a scrapping system, how are the items gonna drop on the floor? So it really just lets you start thinking about everything that is required to make the gameplay experience exist in the first place.
Yeah, really just putting yourself in the shoes of the player, I feel like can go a long way in developing a game.
Yes. And the best part about all this is that this can all be used to help the producer set up sprints for a team and to help them think critically about the tasks to be done to bring a mechanic to life.
So you say sprints there. What exactly is a sprint?
So a sprint is usually a short development period of time, usually around 1 to 3 weeks, where tasks are defined to be finished within that period of time. And Sprints are so simple in the grand scheme of things. It's just a period of time where tasks need to get done. But I think trying to explain like why sprints are valuable is almost more important.
I'd say it kind of gives a sense of urgency, right?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the better way to think about it, is that sprints are created to almost give mini milestones to a team. They're usually short periods of time between 1 to 3 weeks that can just keep the pace of the project on point. All in all, like the whole purpose of the product backlog is just to make sure you have all the features of your game in order and to pretty much just help the producer think critically about what is needed to make those features come to life. So what mechanics may be necessary, what systems might be necessary, and the resources required to make those possible in the first place.
So Cam, you're not just the producer on our team, you're also the marketer as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And you've put together some pretty awesome YouTube videos. Why don't you talk about that real quick?
Don't flatter me too much now. Yeah, so for the Devlog series for Surprise Studios, we went in with the mindset of creating the Devlogs for ourselves and
just making a name for ourselves, I think is what you're trying to say, right?
There's a few different ways that we thought about it. I think mainly the big one is that if we were going to make an indie title, we should at least document our process. I think just like making those videos also just kind of gave me something to do on top of producing, because producing's fun, but on a smaller team, it's not as integral. For larger scale teams, it's definitely necessary. Currently, I'm on a team of 15 people for another project. It can go a hell in a handbasket pretty quickly if you don't have some general oversight, because there's just so many moving parts to think about. But yeah, again, I think the whole purpose of the Devlog series was, getting our own personal brand out there, and then also trying to inspire people like how Tyler is now with Go Make Games. Make sure to go to gomakegames.com. Is that what it is?
Really close. GoMakeGames.net.
.net. I said that.
Thanks, Cam. Hopefully by now you understand just how beneficial a product backlog can be for your game project. With it, you'll ultimately be simplifying the game making process for you and your team. I know it's definitely helped our team out a lot with our project, Hookscrap. We're almost wrapping up with development, and at this point, we're actually putting together a Steam store page. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, you can keep up with our game's development by going over to our YouTube channel, which I'll link right here at the top. If you enjoyed this video, I actually make videos like these every week focused on empowering aspiring game developers like you everywhere. So if you don't want to miss another one, be sure to subscribe down below. You can also go to the Go Make Games community Discord server where you can chat with other members of the community, get feedback and advice, and discuss video topics. Finally, if you're in need of a mentor while going through the game dev journey, you're free to schedule a face-to-face meeting or phone call with me on my website, gomakegames.net. And with that, I will see you all in the next video, which you can find somewhere over here. And until then, dev on.